Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. We just hit 29.5k subscribers. Can you help me get to 30k? Please like this video down below and subscribe before we get started. Now today we're going to analyze polls out of 5 very key states: the state of Arizona, the state of Georgia, the state of Wisconsin, the state of Pennsylvania, and the state of Michigan. These very well could be the 5 most competitive states, and if Donald Trump wins every single one of these states, assuming he holds things like Florida, Iowa, Ohio, stuff that he probably has in the bag along with North Carolina, he's probably going to win. He only needs to probably win 3 or 4 of these states at that point in order to be elected president. But let's take a good look at these states and look at the polls. We're going to use States Poll. States Poll is back. They are finally back. It took them a little bit while. I think they went on a long break, but now they're back. They're analyzing polls, and they're analyzing Democrat polls. A lot of these polls are Democrat internal polls, so they have a skew to the left. Now, they analyze it very unpartisan-wise by party ID, things like that. Fox exit polls from 2018, exit polls from 2016, party registration data that we've seen in the state, and so on. So from here on out, we can take a look at this election map. They already have a map up for the counties. They assume that Maricopa and Yuma are the biggest toss-ups, and Arizona will be a toss-up to lean red state, I believe that is what they put for this election. But here's a Democrat internal poll. What did the poll say at first? The poll said Joe Biden will win by 1, and Donald Trump will win over Sanders by 1. By the way, Sanders probably won't be the nominee. That's not going to be an issue. But let me just say, they ran a Sanders-esque candidate for governor versus a Republican in Doug Ducey. Doug Ducey steamrolled over David Garcia. It was a massive landslide, 15 points, epic proportions. Ducey almost even won the Hispanic vote in the election. Crazy stuff went down. So when they adjust it by party ID, things like that, looking at the model, looking at trends that we've seen over the past couple of years, what we see now, right now, is that Trump is beating Biden by roughly 6 to 7 percentage points in the state of Arizona. He's already above 50%, which is a good thing. If a candidate is above 50% in a state this early, not always, because you do have malleability, you do have things that change, obviously. Different candidates may become more popular, less popular, things like that. But if a candidate's over 50, especially an incumbent over 50, that is usually very, very good news moving forward. They could win by a narrow margin, but either way, they're probably going to win at the end of the day. And he's above Sanders by roughly a wider margin. Looking at that, it's roughly 7.3 percentage points above Sanders. Right now, he is 6.1% above Biden. That's very, very good news. So this poll was a Democrat poll, so obviously it's an internal poll. They released the good internal polls. Obviously, PPP's done a lot of polling where Trump's probably way ahead of Biden. They're not releasing it. This one, they finally got Biden ahead, even though it's way within the margin of error. And now they're saying Biden's going to beat Trump. But if you look at the party ID, they analyzed it properly. They used it with leaners. They did stuff like this. They looked at exit polls from 2016, 2018, and this is exactly what they found. They did the math. And obviously, we have a key Senate race there. We have a great Senate race between Martha McSally and Mark Kelly. Now, this poll showed Mark Kelly beating McSally by 5, but the poll seemed to have like a 5-point swing in favor, or like a 5 to 6 point swing in favor of the Democrats. When they adjusted it by party ID and the other metrics, it's a virtual tie. Yes, McSally's ahead. It's a virtual tie. I personally think McSally can lose, but if Donald Trump will beat Joe Biden by 6 percentage points in Arizona, which is very good. That means he improves. He bucks the trends in the Southwest. That would be amazing news. If he's able to do that and win the state by 6 percentage points, yes, Trump is in very good shape, and he will carry Martha McSally to the finish line. By the skin of her teeth, she will win. Again, if Mark Kelly was more moderate on guns, personally, I think he'd win the state, and I think a lot of Trump supporters would vote for him because McSally, she's not necessarily the best senator. I think we know that. Arizona's Rhino Central. It's partially why Trump did so poorly. I mean, you could talk, part of it is things like immigration. Part of things is like people moving to Arizona from New York. That's also an issue, but it's a very establishment state. And yes, you have the Mormon Republicans in a lot of the Mesa, Phoenix, Gilbert area. Guess what? They're going to come out for Donald Trump this time around because Trump has proven himself as a conservative that wants to protect things like religious liberty. and that sort of thing. So already it looks like Donald Trump is doing very well in Arizona. That is a very key state. This is one poll. There are polls that show probably, if when they're weighted, that show the Democrat up or Trump not doing as well as this poll shows him doing. But I honestly think he's winning Arizona. He should campaign there. He should still spend money there, but definitely, I do agree that it's not going to be the most contested state. It's not going to go down the wire as much as some of these other states like Michigan or Pennsylvania will, or even Minnesota, which can flip into Trump's column. I'm very excited for this election. But you guys got to get registered. You got to get out and vote. Even in the primary, vote for Trump. I'm going to try to do the same-day registration, try to change my voter registration. I wasn't going to vote, but now I'm just like, let's increase Trump's numbers by one more vote in Michigan. Let's just go out and vote for Trump. So honestly, don't cross over to vote for Bernie. He's not going to be nominated. There's no hope he wins on the first ballot, and if he can't win on the first ballot, they're not going to give it to him at a contested convention, which isn't going to happen, by the way. But looking at the state of Georgia here, the polls actually showed Trump doing very well. They showed Trump beating Biden by 8 points. This poll right here was a poll out of SPIA-GE. Never heard of it. I don't know their partisan lean. Potentially could be a Republican poll or a nonpartisan poll. We'll see. He's beating Bernie Sanders by 11. Now, this is a common theme throughout the South. Bernie Sanders always underperforming Biden in the South. Very different from 2016, where Bernie was overperforming Hillary. Very interesting. It'd be very interesting to see where Hillary Clinton would actually be polling had she been in the race right now, which I'd really like to see that information. So adjusted percentage by state poll. Apparently Trump is beating Biden 51.3 to 43.9. He's beating Bernie 52.3 to 41.3. So they relatively nailed the party ID thing in this poll, because when they adjusted it, there really wasn't much of a difference. I think Biden gained like I think a total of 0.6% or so when it was all said and done. So you look at this, and he's in very good shape in Georgia. He could win it by 8. I think that he potentially could win it by Romney numbers, because every single poll that I see out of the state of Georgia, Donald Trump is doing phenomenal in. And again, the rural part of Georgia actually trended red. It trended red in 2018 in the governorship. Obviously, suburban Georgia flipped blue, partially because Stacey Abrams was a two-faced, and she definitely ran as a moderate in the areas of the suburban Georgia where she needed. And then when she went to the urban area, when she went to the Hispanic community, she was talking about giving illegal aliens the right to vote. And then she was talking about afterwards, after the election, that it's voter suppression why she lost, despite us debunking that consistently here on this channel. So you definitely have the sore loser factor. If Abrams is on the ticket, I don't think it's going to help her. I don't think it's going to help Biden too much when it's all said and done. So you never know. But as for Georgia and Arizona, these are the states I'm worried about in the future. If Trump is able to buck the trend and bring the college-educated voters in the suburbs back to the Republican Party, if he's able to get some of those Romney Clinton supporters back, which he has like a 25% approval rating from, I think Biden's approval rating isn't too high with those kinds of voters. So that's a very good thing that he's able to make a little bit of inroads here, a little bit of inroads there. And so we'll see at the end of the day, but it's looking to be very decent for Donald Trump in the Sun Belt. Every poll we see, he seems to be doing very, very well. So moving forward, we'll have to look at this, but the key state of Wisconsin, state that I've been saying could potentially not even be that competitive. I'm saying it could be the next Ohio, or it could be the next Iowa when it's all said and done. It's a very similar state to Iowa demographically outside of Milwaukee, and you have Madison, which is a bunch of nut jobs. It's funny, you have a lot of Dane County, though, a lot of the southwestern part of the state that has a lot of blue precincts. Trump only won one precinct in Dane County. It was up by DeForest, a suburb of Madison. So obviously, I think he could make inroads in this part of the state. I think he's going to campaign in this part of the state. And yes, you have the nut jobs in Madison, which I lived in for a couple years. Some good people there, by the way. Just really, really bad politics that go on down there. And you have all of these counties, this county belt right here, these 4 light red counties. These could get darker. The rural areas in Wisconsin are going to get darker. I don't believe Milwaukee turnout's going to be much high. As you've seen from the primary, it doesn't seem like that's the kind of demographic that's turning out is the inner city demographic, or even the young voter demographic isn't really turning out that much. And when they're turning out, they're not turning out for Biden. In the younger people's case, they're turning out for Bernie, and Biden's not doing as well with black voters as Hillary Clinton is, so we'll see there. But this poll on the surface shows Biden and Trump tied in Wisconsin. This is huge because Trump was not even in the single poll within the margin of error in the state of Wisconsin. And guess what happened? He won the state. I was going crazy. I really was like, during election night, I wasn't like going crazy, like cheering. It was like watching like a miracle happen before my eyes. It was like a mesmerizing effect. So obviously, I hope we can have that effect this time around. So get out and vote. But apparently when you adjust the polling for things like evangelicals, Trump was ahead of Biden by roughly 1 to 2 points. However, Trump and Sanders in this poll had Sanders up by Trump over 2. It was roughly a tie. Trump barely edged Sanders by roughly the same margin he edged Hillary by in Wisconsin. Actually, it was much, much closer. And I actually warn about this. I think Wisconsin is one of those states that Bernie may actually overperform Hillary, or overperform Biden in this case, because of Madison and all the people in Madison. He definitely has that appeal to Madison. A lot of the people there are just crazy, crazy, crazy on the left type of so-called progressive individuals. So looking at Wisconsin, it looks very, very good for Donald Trump. This is one poll. This is a poll out of Marquette. Marquette is a fairly nonpartisan poll. I think Marquette nailed the governorship. I think it actually may have had Evers up by a couple of points, and he won by like 1 to 2. So, and Marquette's a very decent poll. So the fact that Trump and Biden are tied in Wisconsin, it definitely shows it's going to be a close race. Trump has a shot. I believe he's going to win it at the end of the day. But without further ado, let's go to Pennsylvania. The great state of Pennsylvania. States poll actually believes that Trump is going to be able to hold Erie County, which is very, very surprising. I personally disagree with the map. I don't agree with everything the website says. Honestly, I hope he can hold it, but for him to increase his lead to 2% in Erie County, that's something. He must be able to win the state big there. And this poll out of Muhlenberg in Morning Call, which actually I think showed Hillary Clinton win by a couple of points. And the Pennsylvania polls back in 2016 were not as bad as Michigan or Wisconsin. They were still off by like 4%, but they weren't off by like 7%. So we'll see here. This poll actually has Biden in the so-called home state of Biden. Big myth, by the way. Biden's not going to be able to win Pennsylvania as easy as you think he will, especially a lot of the people on the left out there. He lived in the state less than Hillary, and Hillary did not win the state of Pennsylvania. He condemned coal miners. He basically said, learn to code to them. That's not going to be able to win over the voters. The voters left the Democrat Party in Pennsylvania under the Obama-Biden presidency for a very, very good reason. So when you look at this and you see the polls get adjusted, the polls actually show Bernie doing better than Biden, which I really don't agree with. And when they were adjusted, they show Trump beating Biden by 5. They show him winning by a likely margin in the state. This is very possible. If Philly turnout is below 2016, which is a possibility, again, Hillary did better in Philly than Obama did in terms of turnout in 2012. If Trump is able to keep his Western Pennsylvania turnout, if he's able to increase it and the turnout for the Democrats goes down, Pennsylvania will stay red and Trump could very well improve, especially if he improves in places like Allegheny County, maybe some exurbs of Philly. If he can improve in those, he's basically set. And if he wins the state by 5, I'll be very surprised. This poll actually shows Trump beating Bernie by 3, which is also very interesting. But now for the state of Michigan, this is one poll out of Quinnipiac, a very, very poor poll, a very left-leaning poll. And the poll showed Biden up by 4 and Sanders up by 5. So if a poll in Michigan is so left-leaning and it shows Trump within roughly the margin of error, that means he's probably going to win the state. When they adjusted this poll, it showed a similar thing. It showed Trump down by Biden by 4. It showed Trump down to Sanders by 4 as well. So it's one of those things that we'll see at the end of the day. I definitely think Trump is going to win the state of Michigan. He could lose Michigan very narrowly, but it seems like this is a very, very key state moving forward. So Donald Trump is up in Arizona, he's up in Georgia, he's up in Wisconsin, he's up in Pennsylvania, all in these states, very big margins, by the way. And he's up in Michigan. Well, he's not up in Michigan. He's apparently, according to this poll, he's within the margin of error in Michigan. The opponents are well below 50%. If he turns out his support base that he got last time around, he's going to probably win all 5 states moving forward. And if he wins all 5, there's basically no path forward for the Democrat to win the presidency. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Please like this video, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media, donate to the Patreon, join the subreddit and Discord, links in description. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.